Brothers and sisters, thank you for joining me today. So this is part 3 on being childlike, but it also is going to step into spiritual gifts and also the creation of a new heaven and earth. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and read this, and I'm going to share some different perspectives and techniques that we can use to help us to become more childlike and step in to our purpose of growth here on the earth. And father and mother's will for their children is literally for us to expand and to grow and eternally progress as they have. So that being said, I'm going to go ahead and share this. So when we hear the word empath, what I have been shown is that means connection, and it depends on what frequency that you are connected to. But as you connect as the whole, then you have then you are truly connected to the family as a whole. We are all connected, interconnected. So an empath really means connection. Okay, so with this, I'm going to explain how this understanding of becoming more childlike and understanding the shifting that is happening within our life as a new heaven and earth are created, how this came about. So understanding the empath connection, with that, I have felt lots of energy from others on this, including my own. At times, I was so amplified, I thought there was no way I'm going to get through this. I have had to feel so many, many emotions. I pray I never have to feel again, but I can now help others because of what I experienced. The massive lessons that have been learned through this process. So the shift that is meant to take place is becoming once again childlike, teachable, allowing your mind to be expanded and renewed, to shift the old ways of thinking to the new way of thinking. From shifting the old ways of thinking to the new way of thinking, and must happen for true growth to take place in our lives, to become water turned into wine, which is Joshua's first miracle. We are to be his first miracle of water turned into wine. Learning to shift negative to positive, dark to light, fear to faith, in transforming the situation into growth in our life. Let go of all control and surrender. Expectations are the devil's playground and is not learning to live in the flow of energy around us. Just the opposite, it teaches resistance. The Lord's Prayer is for us to understand that father and mother, because the scripture is removed to the woman, it is their will for their children to learn and to grow. So it's shifting to see their will, breaking the illusion of the flesh, learning to overcome the flesh and the mind. The mind is our biggest thing that, we overthink, we obsess, the mind is literally, the flesh is an enemy to God. And so the overcoming our mind is key in all of this. Okay. So our brain so what's the importance of our brain? Our mind is become as a little child. Shift. Cast your net onto the right side of the boat. Become fishers of men. Our brain, when we fight the growth, so what we're doing is our mortal mind is fighting the spirit, and it's fighting our spirit. It's fighting the spirit, which, like I talked about, what is an empath? It's connected. We're connected to the throne room. We're connected to, as a whole, we are all one. So we're connected. So the goal is to shift our mind to become more childlike. Ask those questions as I explained in the 2 previous videos. And it's learning to take all the darkness, negative, fear, everything, and casting it to the right side of the boat, the right side of our brain, okay? So when we fight our spirit with our mind, right, when we fight the growth that is meant to happen in our life, depression, anxiety, sadness, anger, confusion, frustration, fear, panic attacks, psychosis, all of these things and more occur. Why? Because we are fighting the process of growth, of the expanding of our mind, of the expanding of who we are eternally. Instead of stepping into the growth, we're resisting the growth. Because we are fighting the process of growth, of the expanding of our mind, the renewing process, we fight stepping into the growth that is meant to be had. We fight the expansion of the unknown, trying all we can to stay where we feel it's familiar, comfortable, and safe. Battling the flesh against our very spirit that desires our eternal growth and progression, which is the whole purpose of why we're here. We refuse to be present to see the bigger picture through heaven's eyes. We are stuck in the traumas of and the unknown and the fear of the unknown and what is comfortable, the false traditions. We are stuck in that. Instead of going into every conversation, every situation, every trial, saying, Father and Mother, you brought me to this. You're going to bring me through this, not as a victim, but victorious with growth to be had, light and light that will come from the experience, from the growth. And asking them, help me to bring in a harvest that is abundant with light, lessons learned, growth eternally achieved. So if we understand we are to bring in the harvest of light, okay, that is what we are to do. We are supposed to glean the light in every situation we are put into. Father and Mother will use all situations for our good. Everything that is done, they will use for our good. So it's learning to shift and be present and see it through heaven's eyes so that we are able to see the abundance of light and the lessons learned. So the light is the growth. The light is our glory. It's the lessons learned and achieved through the process. And that growth is eternal, is eternally achieved. It's sanctified upon us. It's written in the books of life eternally. So what causes us to step back from becoming childlike? Okay, so death, betrayal, hurts, pains, fear, things looking different than we imagined. The flesh holds on to how we thought it should have looked. Okay, because as we remember, Father and Mother's ways are not our ways. And so we perceive how things are going to look and they're just this pretty little picture. And when they're not, people panic. So I'm going to talk about a moment, being childlike and some different examples, including going into the birthing process. So we are ushering in a new heaven and earth, which means we have to go through the birthing process. So I'm going to share some of these examples, okay? So picture and scenarios with you. Okay, so picture for a moment a beautiful picnic. And it's ripped out from underneath you. The blanket is ripped out from that beautiful picnic. And the pieces go flying everywhere, not sure what you are supposed to pick up and let fall. Or scrambling to make sure none of the illusion you told yourself gets disrupted, trying to place the picnic exactly how it was. That's impossible to do. When you do this, you are missing the point of the disruption. The pieces were not meant to remain the same, and some will be removed because they're no longer needed in your life for your growth and progression. However, Father and Mother will look at the pieces that remain and give you opportunities to expand those pieces about yourself, because there is eternal growth to be had from what we called disruption of our beautiful picnic. It's really called uprooting what can no longer remain within us. The more we dig our feet in and say, I'm not moving out of this place, the longer the process takes for the full growth and transformation, rebirth, to take place in our life. Okay, so here is now an understanding. I'm going to give you this example. A new mother anticipates that having a baby will look a certain way. and that this child, they put all these expectations on what being new parents is going to look like and what their baby's going to do and what they're going to do with this baby and all these things that they're going to, expectations that they start listing for this baby. We have all been there and done that. Hopefully we've learned from that at this point. But when it doesn't pan out the way they had envisioned it, depression comes from not stepping into the new growth, their higher self, that their baby came to help them remember and tune back into. Instead, depression and psychosis come from resistance to the change, resistance to the beautiful growth and shift that is meant to take place within themselves. They battle the flesh and their spirit. When we resist instead of surrender to the process, we cannot be present in the moment. We get stuck in fight or flight of how we thought something should have been or turned out. We must be able to be present in order for the shifts to happen and for us to be able to learn to work with the energy of these shifts in our life that are meant to happen in our life for our eternal growth and progression. As we learn to flow in this powerful energy from our creation, the shifts take place from dark to light, negative to positive, fear to faith, and so on, and this allows the growth to take place within us. So remember, the kingdom of heaven lives within us. This is casting your net to the right side of the boat. It's shifting in our brain from one side, from the left side of our brain to the right side of our brain. So these are some examples, of what I just said: light to dark, negative to positive, fear to faith. So look at the opposite. So the darkness brings confusion, but when we are able to shift that confusion and see it through the light, it brings clarity. So we shift that confusion to the right side of our brain. So that is capturing every thought captive so that it can be in alignment with father and mother. And if it's not, right, they're going to take that confusion of what's being confused and they're going to show us the light, and they're going to show us, okay, this is of us, this is not of us. They're going to show you, they're going to eliminate that confusion and bring that clarity. Doubt into belief. Same thing. We're shifting that from the left side of our mind, and we're saying, why is this feeling coming at me? And we're shifting it from the left side of our brain, and we're shifting it to the right side of our brain, and we're allowing the belief to come from the doubt. So what doubt was put there? Was that a doubt that came from father and mother? And they're going to show you how to shift that into light. Okay. When we learn to shift, surrender into growth, that's when our minds can truly be expanded and renewed. That is becoming childlike. When we are able to have our minds expanded and renewed. And we step into the growth instead of resist and fight it. Okay. Our energy field at that point is elevated to new levels of being. So our frequency is elevated. So depression, anxiety, fear, panic, psychosis, and so on are not illnesses. They are states of expansion that one fears stepping into. They feel stuck. They feel moving forward in their expansion. They replay the past of what occurred or how they thought something should have happened or took place. And this also comes when spiritual gifts are being activated within us. We begin to panic and fear, and we dig our feet in because we don't understand what's happening, and we resist. And we're like, we don't step into the growth. We resist it because we don't understand what is happening. So this has to do with stepping into the newness and including our spiritual gifts being activated. Okay, so, and the same thing. So when it says here that they fear moving forward in their expansion, they replay the past of what occurred or how they thought something should have happened or took place. Okay, so I'm going to stop here for a minute. I'm going to look at being childlike and letting our spiritual gifts expanded. The world has taught us, oh, well, spiritual gifts looks like this, or spiritual gifts look like this, or Some religions will say something about a spiritual gift, but they don't understand because they've never stepped into them. So people have had these illusions of what they think a spiritual gift will look like, or how it will be activated, or how it's used. And until you experience that for yourself, you don't know. So when a spiritual gift is activated, it can be very, because you don't understand fully what's taking place, right? You have to allow the confusion to become the clarity of, okay, show me what's happening here. You dig your heels in of what's happening and taking place because it's unfamiliar, it's unknown, it's foreign, and you want to push it away from you. So you dig your heels in instead of stepping in to that beautiful gift. So that's really beautiful. They just had me share that because the next one will be on our guests. Okay, so this is so broad in becoming childlike again, to remember those things eternally about ourselves and remember how eternally these things work, and especially being, connected to as one, as a whole. Father and Yahshua were connected. Father and mother were connected. And that's why they said, I am one with my Father. Father and mother are one. Father and Christ are one. We are to become one with them. That's what this is, okay? The oneness. And when people don't understand what that looks like, it can become very scary for them. And so out of fear, people panic of the unknown, okay? This life is growth. And once we see that father and mother's will for their children is to expand, and that we were sent here to grow, the faster we see their will is to allow the growth to happen, not resist or fight against it. So instead of resisting, we step into that light. And that is literally the shifting from the left side of our mind to the right side of our mind, shifting the darkness and confusion, capturing every thought, shifting it to the right side of our mind, and going inward with our heart center connected to the throne room, so that we know where that thought came from, where that energy came from, and we can acknowledge it because we're in this heightened state of awareness as part of elevating our frequency, and we're able to then do with it what we need to do with it to turn that energy into light. Everything we experience has purpose and meaning. It's up to us to use each experience to see what light and growth can be gleaned from it. Okay, we're to bring in the harvest. What does that mean? The harvest of every situation, we have to learn to glean the light, glean the good from those experiences. Some experiences will have a lot of growth, others only one lesson, but each have value and meaning for our growth. We are going to get knocked down in life. There is no way around that. Growth cannot happen without it, but rather what matters is what we do with it. When we fully, hold on just a minute, I'm sorry. Okay. The growth can't happen without it, but rather what we do when we fully stand back up, that makes all the difference in our eternal progression. So as we go through the stripping of these false traditions, and this is becoming childlike again, so we go through the stripping of these false traditions and false beliefs that have been put on us for generations, that the fathers and mothers have put on their children because they did not know. It doesn't matter that, you're going to get knocked down. That's part of the stripping process, so that you can now stand back up and be, retaught as that little child. So when you stand up, what are you going to do now that you stand up? That makes the difference in it. Not because you got knocked down because the world has been deceiving you and lied, because that's where the world has been at in these false traditions of the fathers. It's what you do when you stand back up that's going to make all the difference. The goal is to see father and mother's hand and love in it. The goal is to see father and mother's hand and love for us. They are the light that can come from the darkest of situations. The same loving hands and love that were extended to Yahshua in his hardest trials are extended to us, and is why Yahshua extends that same love to us with the outreach of his hand to pick us up The same hand we should then be extending to others in their growth. See father and mother at work in your life. See Yahshua at work in your life. Be present, and you will see them at work in your life all around you. For they are the light, the truth of the growth that will come and comes. Your testing becomes your testimony. No man can ever take from you. So what is their will? And why did Yahshua pray to Father, saying, Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven? It's eternal. The will is eternal. The will father and mother desire for their children is to grow and to become like them. In order to do this, that requires us to become childlike again. It is for us to evolve, to grow, to expand. This is our glory, gained step by step through lessons learned, growth had, as we overcome the flesh, the darkness, and the pain, and let it be transformed into the light. We are first and foremost spirit, eternal beings, having a human experience. Eternity exists all around us. This is the school. We are here to learn, and that growth is eternal. If done with Yahshua, it is growth that lasts, not growth that fades. If there is not growth happening, you are stagnant. Don't ever jump ship in a trial, because if we do not see it through, we rob ourselves of glory. The growth that could have been achieved. The blessing is a life of abundance. Growth and glory is abundance. So may we understand more fully becoming childlike again, especially as the tribes are here to heal the nations and to rid the false traditions of the fathers. It's the spirit of resistance is very strong right now. And it will become stronger as the tribes begin to more fully step into their callings of teaching people, because it will be unfamiliar and not what people have always been taught, and it's not comfortable and in the known. Okay, well, both fear is of the unknown and faith requires you to step into the unknown. So you get to choose the left side or the right side. And the right side of the net is the side that Yahshua told us to cast the net on, because the abundance will come. The left side didn't bring the abundance. The right side did. So may we see more fully the depth of becoming childlike and step into this. So I'm going to talk about really quick two more things, and I'm basically give you two things that can help you in this. So these endless loops that never seem to change happen when growth is blocked, instead of stepping into instead of stepping forward so that the change can occur. Embrace the feelings with love that come. Acknowledge them in awareness, not ignoring, rather asking, what are you here to teach me? True transformation comes from being present in a state of awareness, heightened to see there is much more going on than what meets the eye on the surface. Going inward, for the kingdom lives within. See it and work through it, so now you can pull your glory into the here and now. Your testing becomes your testimony. This is why it must be done with Yahshua, so that it is true, authentic, and everlasting. It does not fade with time, is eternal, and remains for eternity. As we see this school of learning for what it is, we move from a place of pain and regret to a place of inner peace and of growth, of learning, of light. Our energy fields elevated in light, and in perfected love for every experience that we go through, because of what we were able to learn through those experiences. Judgment and hatred cease to exist because of the inner peace and perfected love that returns as we understand this is a school of learning, and as we remain as that little child, teachable. Our minds are expanded and renewed. we become true and authentic again to who we are, returning back to our true, authentic selves, seeing the true purpose of why we are here. Wars and contentions within us and outside of us stop, and inner peace returns. So these are the 2 exercises that I'm going to share with you that you might implement. Just, I encourage you to implement these if you are not on this path, if you're stepping into this path, that can really help you. So take a piece of paper, and on that piece of paper, take the trial that you were in and put it in a center box. And then put, you might start with, 4, start small, 4 boxes around that trial. And as you see some light that came from that, write it down on that box, on one of those empty boxes. And then when it's filled, step back and ask yourself, would you have given up any of those lessons learned, or that light and knowledge gained, wisdom gained through the experience, to have not gone through that experience? Okay. And as the trials, they will get bigger and bigger. Expand the boxes so that you can see all that was learned from that. Okay. So that's one way to help us shift our mindset from the dark and focusing on being stuck in the past of what happened, and expand it to be able to see all the good that's coming from that. Okay. So the second thing that you might try is sit in meditation and go inward with Yahshua. See the dark you are battling and allow Yahshua to show you the opposite of the dark. And that's what I was explaining of shifting. So when you're in the meditation, shift your mind from what's coming at you, capture the thought, and then take the thought and align it, flipping it so the opposite to the right, and say, okay, Yahshua, help me align this with light. Okay. And then, so that's the example that I gave of, confusion, shift it for the clarity to come so that the darkness can be seen. So you're not focusing on that, but he can show you the opposite of what you were experiencing. So if you're experiencing confusion, then say, okay, I need you to, Yahshua, please shift my mindset to the right side of my brain so that clarity will come. Okay. So you can do this again. Here's another example. Procrastination, shift it with motivation. Take the dark from the left side of your brain and cast the net to the right side of your brain. This transforms dark into light, negative into positive, sadness into joy, betrayal into growth. Now expanding your mind so the shift can take place, so the growth can happen. So little children are meant to expand and grow. Okay. So we are in this mighty shift, and there is so much darkness coming at the people that it has to be transformed into the light. So sitting with Yahshua when it comes, if you're feeling sadness, sit in that meditation and allow him to shift it into the joy. If you feel betrayal, sit with him and allow him to shift your mindset so you can see the growth that has come from that. So those are just a couple of exercises that you can do to help on this journey of becoming childlike again, and seeing that those scriptures in Matthew 18 are so layered, and seeing that this is a school of journey. This journey of life is a school of learning. And that's also in Matthew 18, it says, don't judge, and literally remove anything from yourself that is not in alignment with the throne room. And that happens by being able to capture every thought and shift those thoughts into correct alignment. And that's done by casting them onto the right side of your brain. So just picture, your brain, and you're literally shifting them from the left to the right, so that clarity and more precise revelation and understanding and growth can happen. So may this just help us become more childlike and see it more in depth for what it is. So have a glorious day.